social media can be kind of a scary place with all of the misinformation and complete opposite spectrums of outlandish claims that are not science backed. And that's honestly like my favorite type of diet. If anyone were to ask me what diet should I be on, that's going to be like where our energy is coming from. Whereas if we weren't, then our body is going to be trying to find energy. And unfortunately, what we don't want to happen is have our body pull from our muscle. We need to be making protein soda or eating like
I can't stand the protein chips.
No, like, come on now. Like, I fear we have lost the plot.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Physio Diaries Podcast. We are your co-hosts, Dr. Melanie Ziaziaris
and Dr. Alice Koshevatskiy, where students, healthcare professionals, and wellness junkies come to get the inside scoop of the healthcare and wellness industry.
The podcast you didn't know you needed by your favorite travel physical therapists.
Welcome back to the Physio Diaries Podcast. And today we are chatting with the fabulous Kyra, aka Dietitian Kyra on social media, a sports dietitian who's about helping active women fuel their bodies without restriction or obsession. We're talking real deal nutrition, myth busting, and giving you all the tea on what to eat to feel strong, energized, and confident. Whether you're training hard or just trying to eat better, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. Kyra, thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you introduce yourself to our physio friends?
Hi, thank you both so much for having me. Like Melanie said, my name is Kyra. I'm a sports dietitian. I'm living here in Chicago, and yeah.
What made you want to do sports dietetics specifically?
I guess I should preface that I'm not certified yet. That will require 2,000 more hours of supervised practice and a mentor signing off on my hours. That credential will hopefully be coming soon, but that will be the CSSD behind my name.
Is it registered dietitian then?
Yeah. So I am a registered dietitian nutritionist, but I'm still more focused on specializing in performance nutrition.
Cool. Okay. I didn't realize that, I guess with all fields, right, like you have to kind of further specialize if you want to get more niche. I didn't realize there was that much more to be a sports dietitian, like to have that title.
Yeah, absolutely. Even for areas of like eating disorders, intuitive eating, not sure about the gut health area quite yet, if there's like certain practices or if you want to be certified in hormone health, like there's more specific stuff that you have to go down through and hours signed off by a mentor.
So for the sports, I guess like certification, you said there's like 2,000 hours that you have to get of like mentorship. Do you also have to pass some sort of like exam after, or do you just automatically get that title?
Yeah. There will be an exam and we have to retake that every 5 years. So unfortunately, my time of taking exams is not over. Luckily, we don't have to retake the registered dietitian exam because that was probably hands down the worst thing. Never want to see that again in my life. But yeah, the sports one should be a lot better and come more easily to me in my brain, at least.
Yeah, and that's like your like cup of tea. Like that's your thing that you love to do. So
yeah, absolutely.
Just for those who maybe don't know as much about like the journey to dietetics, if you can just kind of recap the journey like briefly. So it's a 4-year undergrad degree, and then it is required that it's a master's, right?
Correct. Yeah. Now everyone has to get their master's from an accredited program. University, it was a coordinated program. So my internship was built in, which honestly I love the best. So it was basically 1.5 years of actual classes and schooling, and then another 1.5 of the rotations. So they kind of just like slowly like blended into each other until all that was left was my very last rotation. And that was a total of 1,200 hours of supervised practice.
What were some of the rotations that you did during your schooling? Which ones did you kind of like or were interested in, and which ones were you like, okay, I can check this off my list right now?
Yes. So I started with my community rotation, and I was actually working with the Chicago public schools. I was like going in person, teaching kids about fiber, veggies, how to add more to their plate and build a balanced diet. And that was like an after school program, which was really fun. I didn't quite love that though. I was kind of burnt out from working with like fifth graders. So I was like, yeah, this isn't my scene. My next rotation was a sports performance rotation. So I was working in like a boutique gym, if you will, here in Chicago. And then I was working in research. So my university, UIC, has been leading the way in a lot of like intermittent fasting research. So that was really cool. I was able to be a part of that. I even worked out the participants and had weekly meetings. And then my last rotation in the summer, which was by far my least favorite rotation of all, and that was food service. It was in the hospital.
I was
And
going to say at the hospital.
yes. Oh my God. It was a nightmare. And those 4 weeks felt like 4 years. I could not just wait to get out of there quick enough. And I was the only one too. So I had like no one to talk to. I was on the
Wow.
tray line for hours and it was awful. I don't recommend. But then my last rotation was all at the hospital and I had like I was on a different unit each week. So I was on transplant, cardio, NICU, whatever. I was seeing basically everyone. And it was really amazing to work with patients from like all walks of life. That was my last one. Then I graduated. Thank God.
That's cool though. I didn't realize you guys had so many different rotations, but I love to hear that. Like that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Everyone did a different one. It just kind of depended on where we got like matched or like picked. We picked our top 5 probably for each rotation. It just kind of like ended up working out if we did get our top picks or if we didn't. Luckily, I did get my top picks for majority. I don't want to work in a hospital cafeteria, so there's some things that were out of my control and I just had to for the plot, I guess.
That's fair. You sound like no pediatrics and no hospital, which is literally me.
Yeah.
Just in the PT world.
Yes.
Yeah, it was always funny to me in PT school. There's a lot of people that go into physical therapy and they know they want to work with like very, very high level athletes. But one of the requirements was like 1 out of the 4 of our rotations had to be in acute care. It was just so funny to me when like the people that are like ready to work with really high level athletes go to like the opposite side of the spectrum and they're working with like people that just had surgery and like they have to work on like simple transfers and they just absolutely knew it wasn't for them, but they had to do it because it was like part of the program.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What made you choose dietetics?
It was a little mix of I had an eating disorder in high school, which followed me to college, and I was a college athlete, and I didn't know how to properly fuel my body, including I had a really bad relationship with food itself and my body and my mental health. I went through recovery. I saw a dietitian. I saw an eating disorder therapist, and the both of them helped me greatly. And I kind of realized like, oh, I really want to help people in this area because not only was I struggling with fueling my own body as an athlete, but I saw so many other athletes at my university just like so unaware of what they should and shouldn't be putting in, especially like right before a game or after. I saw that there was like a huge gap and I was like, I want to be that person because honestly, majority Division 1s don't even have a sports dietitian. So
Which is
there's,
insane. Like,
yeah, right.
how is that even like legal?
I know.
I don't get it.
So there's a huge need for it. And I was like, well, I don't know when, like the first Division 2 sports dietitian is going to like, it's going to finally reach the Division 2 level. But I was like, in the meantime, like I'd love to be, just like a pocket of support and information for any athlete.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of like our listeners, I mean, male and female can have eating disorders, right? So a lot of our listeners can relate to that as well. And especially being in sports, dancers, gymnasts, like all of those like aesthetic sports. Like we even talked to a like Olympic rhythmic gymnast who talked about that as well. And like there's no guidance about nutrition for people. And of course, increased risk of injury is going to go up. Of course, all of these other things are going to come about if you don't have anyone like educating people or showing you like this is what you should be doing to help you in your sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And social media can be kind of a scary place with all of the misinformation and complete opposite spectrums of outlandish claims that are not science backed or even just like human backed at all, for that matter. There's a huge
Do you
need.
have any, just you saying that, is there anything in specific that came to your mind when you said like outlandish claims that you've seen on
Oh,
social media?
shoot. There's too many off the top of my head, but for one, like the carnivore diet, like, come on now.
Oh
It
my
is so
gosh,
for
yeah.
real. Like
I'd
eating,
love to hear your take.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Oh my
come
goes.
on now. Like that
Yeah,
guy
I
like
is
had
the
a
also
no carb
pumping
diet.
steroids, so of course he's
yeah.
gonna look that way.
I had a
Yeah.
patient that was on the carnivore diet and her health, like to begin with, was not very good. And it was just getting worse and worse and worse. I had a feeling that a lot of it was related to her diet. Like she said, she didn't even eat vegetables or fruits.
What?
I'm like, all
No
she would eat was
fiber?
basically no fiber. And she had so many digestive issues.
What
Like
is it?
all she was
Constipation,
eating,
I'm sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
meat. Yeah, she had so many health issues. And like her husband too, he had like a heart attack because they were eating ate a lot of like
Oh my gosh.
lard, and I'm like, where are you guys
Ugh.
getting this information? Like,
Oh my
that's
God.
terrible. I can't
That is
imagine like eating that.
terrifying. No,
That's
me
Yeah.
wild.
either.
But I also
Kira,
like didn't feel like I was in the place to be like, you should not be doing this.
were you talking about Liver King when you're talking about the steroids
Oh,
guy?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Him.
Oh,
Me and
yeah.
my boyfriend just saw that and we were like, oh my God, we need to watch this. This is insane.
I have yet to watch, but unfortunately, I have seen some of his content on social media, like hot takes or like, like reaction videos, not his actual content. That would never come up on my FYP.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
why do you say no to the carnivore diet? Like what is from the dietetics point of view?
Yeah, their whole basis is like eating a whole shit ton of red meat, especially. And where red meat can be beneficial, in a healthy, balanced diet, having it be your sole base of a diet is not healthy because of its saturated fat intake. That's just going to clog your arteries and it's not going to give you all of the vitamins and nutrients that your body needs. And that's why we eat a balanced diet, like both plant-based and animal-based proteins. And that's honestly like my favorite type of diet. If anyone were to ask me what diet should I be on, like the omnivore diet, the one where you're getting a lot of like plants, vegetables, fruits, and grains, and then you're also getting in seafood and other lean cuts of meat.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
You talked about how there's a lot of like outlandish claims and things you see like on TikTok, on social media. I know personally for me, it can get really overwhelming with like someone who's trying to improve their diet and just like their overall health. So how do you usually like recommend for somebody to like navigate, or do you have any like resources that you recommend for people that are a little bit more like evidence or like science based?
Yeah, well, first I would say like know who you're following. So if this person is talking about a lot of like nutrition claims and health claims, I would immediately go to their page and see if they have any credentials. Now, the tricky part is that there are like certain certificates that people can get online. It can just be like a pretty basic like nutrition certificate that doesn't require really any schooling. The exams aren't proctored or monitored. So, I mean, nutritionists absolutely have a place. I know that there are certain people that it would almost be better for a person to go to a nutritionist, depending on their health goal, to go to them, see them, rather than if they can't actually see a dietitian. And a lot of that has to do with like within the scope of practice. So if someone needs, more help with just setting health and wellness goals for themselves, an overall healthy diet, yeah, perhaps like the nutritionist would be a great fit for them. And of course, depending on the person. But if it's, like a serious chronic condition that someone is dealing with, or, you know, in terms of like medical nutrition therapy, only dietitians are able to give that. And because of our background in all the science classes and also our own like kinesiology classes, how the human body works, that's where I'd be like recommending the dietitian over that. All that to say, see kind of who they are and what credentials that they have. Some resources that I like to, if like you don't really know how to read a research article or anything of that matter, that's like research based, I would go to examine.com where it kind of breaks down the research in more digestible bits.
Thank you for sharing that and explaining the difference. Because to be honest, I did not know that there was a huge difference between like a nutritionist and a dietitian. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that to the general public, they don't know the difference either. So that's
Yeah.
important depending on like what they're looking for.
Yeah. And another thing to piggyback off of the like difference between the dietitian and nutritionist, we as dietitians can technically call ourselves a nutritionist if we want, but a nutritionist can never call themselves a dietitian.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
nutritionists just get the certifications pretty much.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, interesting. Social media there's so many also different like physicians and people talking about no carbs. I had a friend once say she like didn't eat rice or like avoided rice because of the carbs and she was trying to do the no carb diet. And I was like, we need carbs. But what is your take on just the world around carbs, especially for women, and also planning it around workouts as well and how that goes with like exercise?
Yeah, so I definitely recommend carbs for my clients and just anyone. They're part of a well-balanced diet. And if you are wanting to reach your goals, whether that's weight gain, weight loss, maintenance, just overall, like be healthier on the inside, carbs, especially the complex carbs, really come into play and are very important for all of those things, no matter what your goals are. So I actually have a client too who told me like, oh yeah, I don't eat carbs except for fruits. And I was like, why is that? And they were like, well, I've been trying to lose weight. And once I cut out carbs, I lost weight. And I was like, of course you lost weight though, because you cut out a major food group. Now I've been working with them to add in more higher fiber. So those complex carbs and keep them fuller longer throughout the day. And also aid in their goals of weight loss. Then in terms of carbs and workouts coming into play, carbs are our body's number one source of energy. When we replenish and when we top off our carb stores, also known as glycogen, that's going to be like where our energy is coming from. Whereas if we weren't, then our body is going to be trying to find energy. And unfortunately, what we don't want to happen is have our body pull from our muscle. We don't want that. We want to keep our protein when we want to preserve it, build it. So when we don't have enough carbs, our bodies will be using that muscle for energy. But when our body isn't pulling from our fat stores from energy, it'll be pulling from our muscle stores.
When I was a athlete in high school, I was on the swim team. So that would burn off like so many calories. So what do you think about like the whole like carb loading thing the night before? Because we would eat like pasta,
Yeah.
breadsticks, like so many carbs. Like how
Cross-country
much do you
runners that do that.
really, yeah, like more like endurance athletes, like how much do you really actually need? Is that kind of like overdoing it?
Yeah, so seeing it from like the research side, carb loading is like most effective when you start around 3 days before your event or your games. So there's absolutely like been shown for the endurance athletes benefit to that. But just like carb loading, like a huge plate of pasta and breadsticks like the night before may not actually have the effects you want it to. In fact, it can probably make you feel a little bit sluggish because your body isn't used to so much food and so many carbs all at once. That's where we want to start off like a couple days beforehand and kind of train your stomach to tolerate a little bit extra food specifically carbs going into your performance.
Okay. Yeah, we used to do it like the night before. So,
Yeah.
and I never felt that good. Like, I mean, I love the pasta parties. I was all for it, but I totally agree. Like, I definitely would feel more sluggish and like heavier because I felt like it was all still like sitting
Yeah.
like in my gut, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
also feel like when we talk about carbs, like the word carbs, like carbohydrates, are such a huge umbrella and there's so many
Mhm.
nuances underneath it. So can you talk about like the simple carbs, the complex carbs, the good carbs we want, and then the carbs we don't want? Because there's a huge difference there.
I love how you also said there's so much nuance because in the whole scheme of nutrition, there is so much nuance. So
Yeah.
normally we want to have a diet that's higher in those complex carbs because those are going to be like your whole grains. Those are going to keep you fuller longer. They're going to have more fiber. They're still going to have, the B vitamins. Those are your energy vitamins. Simple carbs will also have those B vitamins as well, but it'll have just a bit less fiber. So an example for your complex carbs, that's going to be like your brown rice, quinoa, farro, and then simple carbs, your white rice, white bread, sorry, backtrack. Complex carbs will also be your starchy vegetables. And then simple carbs are going to be the more processed type of carbs. So a lot of people immediately think the refined pastas, breads, pastries. In terms of athletics, we want to have those simple carbs closer right before the performance because they're easily digested and used as energy right away. Whereas in the average person's diet, we want more of the complex because they're going to have more of that fiber that our body needs.
That makes sense. I'm like thinking about all the people that are like doing the marathons in their like late 20s, early 30s. An average healthy young adult was trying to like carb load and prepare for, let's say, a half marathon. Then you, based on what we've talked about right now, you would say a couple days before you want to increase the complex carbs to really build up our glycogen stores. And then, like, let's say morning of or night before, you do the simple carbs to increase energy.
Yeah, depending on what time the race is too. So if like the race is anywhere from like, you wake up in the morning and it's in the middle of the afternoon and you have about like 3 to 4 hours before your race, complex carbs, I think would be fine. Again, depending on the athlete's stomach and how much fiber they can tolerate. That would be something, especially with endurance runners of the marathon and half marathon caliber, we would want to try and like do like a test eating day for race day. Like
Yeah.
probably, like several weeks in advance, like because the closer we get to the race, the less new foods and I guess like timings of foods we want to change.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like whenever anyone's training for, I know I have a lot of friends that are like either training for a half marathon, Ironman, or whatever it is, and they all think so much about like the training schedule and like your workouts and exercise, but like fuel is such an important thing because that's like a huge race and for a lot of people it's
Yeah.
their first one, so that's like a really good point that you should kind of test out and see like how you feel a couple weeks before because
Yeah.
people are just focused on like the training aspect of it.
Yeah, and just like you're scheduling and making, like your times for your races or your runs every day, you also want to make a fueling schedule. That way, when it comes race day, like you're prepared, you're confident, like you don't have to think about like, now do I eat my goo or like, should I have had that like the past 2 miles back? So that way you're just like, all you have to think about is running and crossing that finish line.
Yeah. That makes sense. So then kind of on the other end of the spectrum, I don't want to say a person who's not healthy or not as healthy, but just like someone who's maybe a little more like body fat percentage and trying to kind of cut down and slim and they want to reduce their carb intake. But what would you recommend then to someone who's just trying to slim down and get healthier, like consistent I guess
Yeah.
carb to meal ratios?
Yeah, I would say focus more so on the complex carbs and adding more variety in the whole grain department. Whereas in the simple carbs, so we're talking like the pastries, the more refined Grains, we'll just have a bit less of those because we want to make sure that we are, if their goal is to lose weight, we want to make sure that we're still getting enough carbs to supply even just like our brain takes carbs for its own energy. So that's where we'd want to focus more so on the complex and in terms of what their plate ratio may look like. So if we're looking at a dinner plate, we're going to cut it in half. Half of the plate should be color, so like fruits and vegetables. The other half, we're going to cut that in half. And then those two sections are going to be protein and grains.
I'm sure you get a lot of questions about this too. This used to be more popular now, but I think people have kind of gone away from it. Calorie, macro tracking. Like I remember even in my nutrition class, like in college, I think they had us like track things and use like MyFitnessPal. Is there a time and place or, certain people that could benefit from it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that calorie and macro tracking can be very, very beneficial depending on the person and also depending on their relationship that they have with themselves and food. For someone who doesn't have a great relationship, it probably won't be great for them to be like so hyper focused on the exact calories, on the exact macros, whereas someone who doesn't really have those thoughts in their head and they have like, their own physique goals or weight loss or even weight gain, it could be really beneficial to see if they are in fact meeting their carb, their fats, and their protein goals needed to sustain that.
Obviously, we've heard a lot about like protein and like you should be eating this much protein, but I feel like more recently I've been seeing a lot of people like on TikTok talk about fiber and how like it's not talked about enough. Those that don't know too much about like nutrition, what the importance of fiber is, and like how much people should be getting. I was curious because I'm like, I never know if I'm getting enough too.
Yeah. For men, they should be eating 38 grams of fiber per day, and for women, 25 grams of fiber per day. A little bit about fiber is that fiber is going to be feeding your healthy gut microbiota, and this will just like not only benefit your own mood, but also your immune system because our gut is also the one that's like fighting off a lot of these things, and a healthy gut also equals a healthy immune system. Fiber also helps us keep us fuller for longer, helps regulate bowel movements. That's kind of like it's some of its main things that it does for us.
Yeah.
What are some more like fiber-rich foods that people like necessarily don't know about?
Like, what do you typically recommend for like high fiber foods for people?
Yeah, probably like the highest fiber foods are going to be like your beans, legumes, your grains, your whole grains for that matter. Those are like your top. There's plenty of fruits and vegetables that are also high in fiber. Maybe not all of them are going to have like the highest amount, but because I was seeing on TikTok, someone was like bashing a cucumber, like cucumbers don't have enough like fiber, like, and if you're using this as your like daily intake of fiber, like, while yes, you shouldn't be focusing, like, if you have like a cucumber, that should not be your only source of fiber for the day, but it's a great vegetable. It has so many vitamins and minerals, and also it's just like hydrating as well. So it's like we shouldn't be demonizing these certain like foods that people don't even eat enough of. And that isn't bad. Like, okay, like she may not be the highest in fiber, but that doesn't mean that like we shouldn't eat her.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like it's important to have a variety of vegetables. Like you said, like different colors on your plate. Every vegetable has its own benefits and own like micronutrients. So the poor cucumbers are being
I
demonized.
know. And they were just getting so much hype too with the cucumber salads. Like,
Yeah.
the switch up was
And
too
cucumbers are
fast.
just so good for you.
And so
Yes.
refreshing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I do want to get to talk about protein because that is huge right now, especially on social media. And even like I took sports nutrition in undergrad. And I remember even what we learned then is different than like research right now. So what is the truth about how much protein we need?
So the average person needs 0.8 grams per kilogram of protein.
So 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight?
Yes. I don't recommend doing it per pound. I had another client who was literally eating their body weight in protein. And when it comes down to it, like still overconsumption of something isn't always the best. And especially if you have weight loss goals and you may be like over consuming protein, those are still going to be extra calories added to your, amount throughout that day. It's actually quite easy to eat the amount of protein that you need a day. When I see people adding protein into every single thing, it's not quite needed. Like,
Yeah.
eat your meals, like have a source of protein at them. Like you don't need to be making protein soda or eating like
I can't stand the protein chips.
No, like come on now.
Oh.
Like I fear we have lost the plot. Like
Yeah.
it gets to a point where it's just like, okay, now y'all are doing too much. But
Wait, have you tried or have you seen Khloe Kardashian's protein popcorn?
yeah, I haven't tried, but I have no interest in trying, to be
No.
honest with you. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
I'm
No,
good.
it's wild. It just tastes like powder.
Ew.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah.
Did you try it?
I did because my friend got it for a group of us to try, and I would never in my life get that.
Oh my God. Yeah. Also at that point too, like I personally, again, people may disagree with me, but I personally would rather have like a whole source of protein, like, popcorn and maybe like cheese sticks on the side or like chops, whatever, hard boiled
Right.
eggs. Like I'd much rather eat my protein through that than, like some really fancy, high end, expensive protein treat.
So we have a lot of like, protein popcorn, like protein shakes, protein powders, like protein drinks. So does our body absorb that kind of protein, I guess the same way as it does like meat or like cheese or something, I guess more like natural and less processed?
When it comes to the supplement forms of things, our bodies love the natural form so much better. And even like something for like the supplements for like vitamins and minerals too, that isn't the most like bioavailable like form of that. That's why our bodies prefer having that real source, because there's a lot more bioavailability and it's a lot more easily absorbed.
For those that want to like do a quick calculation, I could just use my like weight and we can calculate it together for those that want to like follow along to calculate how much protein they need. I'm 118 pounds. To do the conversion to pounds to kilograms, it's 2.2. So you'll take your body weight in pounds, divide by 2.2. And then that gives you how many kilograms. So for me, that's 53.6. Then I would times it by 0.8, and that's 42.9. So are you saying that's like the minimum I need to like survive? That's like the minute, right? Okay.
Yeah,
The
like
minimum you need to survive.
well, I wouldn't say like survive. I would more so say like that's like the requirement you should be meeting just about every day. Like that's like your baseline, I would say.
Gotcha.
And then if you're wanting, depending on your goals and your activity levels, that number will be then tailored further to you.
Okay. I see. So then let's say then a person who, let's strength training 3 times a week and is trying to get toned and increase muscle mass and is actually trying to work on that. What would you suggest then for them?
Yeah, that could be anywhere from like 1 to even like 1.3 grams per kilogram.
Okay. So that is the same thing I learned in undergrad then. I thought that I've seen so many social media people and like even doctors say like 1 gram per body weight. And I'm like, that's excessive. That's like
For 100 grams
insane.
of protein, like
Yeah.
you would have to eat so much.
And
I know.
so
And you
I
would
always
get like
think
the
it's not-
protein ick. Like
Yeah.
there's so many people who like then their whole plate is just protein, and then you're missing out on all those other nutrients that other foods provide you. Like yes, if you're wanting to like build that muscle or even prevent muscle loss in weight loss, you do want to have like a good amount of protein so that your muscles will keep building or maintaining while promoting fat loss. But like if you're over consuming something, especially for protein, doesn't always mean the best. And unfortunately too, like sometimes when it comes to like overconsumption of protein in a long period of time, that can like potentially hurt your kidneys.
I know what you mean though. Like it's a lot on our bodies to process,
Yeah.
a lot for the kidneys to process. And like you have to be careful of like your creatinine levels and all that.
Yeah,
So no,
absolutely.
it makes sense.
I heard the same thing too, Mel, like more recently, because I remember when I took my nutrition class in undergrad, they also said the same thing. They were like 0.8 to 1.2 per like kilogram of body weight. And then recently I saw people saying like, no, it's per pound, 1 gram per pound. That means I have to eat over 100 like grams of protein a day. And I was getting overwhelmed because like we said, there's so much information out there, and most of the time it is conflicting with like other things you either learned or other things you hear. And as someone who's like not really like well versed in all this information, I'm just like, okay, like I need to start eating more protein. I'm like buying Greek yogurt and trying to drink like 2 of those a day. So it's like very relieving for me to hear that like I am getting enough protein. Cause I was like concerned. I'm like, what's going to happen if I don't get enough protein? Like, am I going to lose all the muscle I'm working so hard to build? So
Absolutely.
I literally heard this one, she's a doctor, say like, eat as many grams of protein as you want your like weight to be. So if you're like, let's say 150 and you want to get down to 130, eat 130 grams of protein a day. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Again, like if that works for someone, like who am I to judge? Like unless you're paying me to judge you, of course. But I like there's sometimes where even like my friends will come to me and they'll be like, this like bodybuilder, influencer, whoever is eating this amount of protein. Like, should I be doing this? And I'm like, no, girl, you guys have 2 different bodies, 2 different activity levels. Like, you're not the same person. If this is what works for that, perfect. If this is what works for that person, amazing. But you can't just like immediately like apply it to yourself and be like, oh, now this is going to work for me and going to get me to look like her.
Yeah. No, valid. Do you have a certain goal you try to get every day in terms of protein?
Yeah, I try to get around like 80 grams of protein a day. On average, it's not that hard for me to because each meal that I have is around like minimum-ish 30 grams of protein. And that's just the meals, not even considering like the snacks that I have.
For sure. Yeah, I would say same. I try to like my goal is like 100, but I usually fall between like the 80 to 100 range depending on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably fall closer to like 80. What do you think about like incorporating some like plant-based meals in your diet? Or do you think it's fine to eat meat if people eat meat like in every like meal, like lunch, dinner, every day?
Yeah, I love that so much. I love combining different like forms of protein, whether it's plant-based or animal. I personally try to eat at least like 1 plant-based meal each week. And what this actually is for is to help my own gut health. So having like not only a diverse diet in fruits, vegetables, and grains, but also proteins can help feed that gut microbiota.
Yeah, for sure. I love adding a little tofu meal prep for the week every now and then, or like
Me
bean heavy
too.
meal.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm big on cookbooks and I got this, it was maybe like a year ago now, and I bought this cookbook. I'm not vegan, but I wanted to be like eating a little bit more plant-based because I felt like I was eating a lot of meat. And in like, I grew up in like a Ukrainian household, and we were taught with every meal, it's not complete if we didn't have like meat on our plate. Like we had to have meat, like potatoes or like some kind of vegetable or in like a grain, but there was always meat on my plate. I had to kind of rewire my brain and be like, I can have a complete meal and not be eating like chicken or beef or something.
Yeah,
And so I got this
absolutely.
cookbook called Vegan for Everybody, and it has some amazing recipes in there. And I want to try more, but it's actually really good. And it's fun to like experiment with like different kinds of like, not even diets, but just like ways of like cooking and eating.
Yeah, for sure. And even just like the plant-based diets or, like the plant-based protein sources too. a diet that is more geared around that and plant sources is really beneficial for even like cardiovascular health, but our overall health too, because we're also getting that fiber.
Yeah. Where do you draw a lot of like inspiration, I guess? Because you make a lot of like content about different like recipes. I love your like pancake recipes that you do. Like they always make me like drool. They look amazing. But where do you get your inspiration for like some of the meals that you create?
Yeah, for the meals, it could be, a meal that I had at a restaurant that I really liked and I tried to recreate at home. I love foods from all cultures too. So I love to incorporate like different pockets of the world into my kitchen just because I love trying like so many new flavors and combinations, and it never gets boring in the kitchen. So that's like a big part of it too. Like you will never see me eating like the same thing week after week unless it's like really, really good. So I'll keep making it, but I love to have a variety of different like flavors at every meal and a variety of different cuisines. So I kind of draw a lot of my inspo from that. Of course, Pinterest is great at finding recipes too.
Definitely.
And then in terms of like the pancakes, I have to like keep thinking crazier and crazier because I've done like all of the basics. So now it's like, oh God, like how can I spin this next, like, and make it into a pancake? What I've been currently trying to do is like, okay, what's a dessert I really love or like a baked good that I could turn into pancakes? Sometimes it's a flop, other times it is perfect, but yeah.
Yeah, you create something new and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Are pancakes like your go-to then? Like you just love pancakes?
On Sundays, yes. So
Fair.
I grew up when I would visit my Nana and Papa's, like they would always be like, okay, do you want French toast, pancakes, or like what do you want to have, or waffles this morning? And me and my cousins would always want the pancakes because they literally melted in your mouth and were so fluffy. And I mean, she like, don't tell her I told you this, but like she uses like the Bisquick and she'll add like a little bit of, like a little something special to make them so like melty and fluffy. But that's kind of where it came from. And then I was like, wait, let me have fun with it. Let me like experiment with like different flavors, experiment with like the fluffiness ratio of it all. Just about every Sunday, if I'm not busy, I will be making pancakes.
That's so cute. I love that. It's like a weekly ritual.
Yeah. Something to look forward to.
Cute.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question for you. Run us through a typical day in your life with like meals, supplements, hydration, like everything you're intaking.
Absolutely. Okay, so first thing in the morning, I'm drinking some water. I'm taking my inositols because I've found that they really help me with like my period regulation and hormone levels. Typically people with PCOS take them, but I was working with like a functional doctor and he had recommended them and I've taken them ever since. So I take those on an empty stomach and then I'm making a breakfast before I lift, and I don't wake up like crazy early unless it's like a workout class. So most of the time I'm just lifting in my gym here. So I'll make sure most of the time it's like a yogurt bowl. So I'll have Greek yogurt, I'll have granola, a little bit of, like peanut butter if there's not already like nuts and seeds there in the granola mix. And then I'll do fruit, coffee, of course. And I also take an omega-3 and a vitamin D. Sometimes the zinc I ran out, but those are like my big three. I'll also take creatine before my workout. And then after my workout, I will probably make like a protein smoothie. I've been really loving Pure Green's coconut cloud smoothie. So I bought the ingredients to make at home. So it's basically just pineapple, frozen cherries, coconut water, collagen, but instead I'll add like a whey-based protein powder. And then, maybe like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and blend it up. And I'll have that post-workout. And that's kind of like my snack too, to get me to lunch. This past week, I made like chicken shawarma bowls. So I have orzo, the chicken shawarma, some chickpeas in harissa and lemon sauce, and then I'll just like add arugula, radish, cucumber, and mix that all up. Add some herbs, of course, and some like fried halloumi. And then dinner is crispy tofu. Well, I'll have a snack before dinner, most likely. Sometimes it's honestly the TJ's like Takis. I love those.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'll
They're
have a little bit
amazing.
of those. And then for dinner, I'll have like crispy tofu on rice with like either like a stir fry or steamed veggies of whatever I have left. Like tonight will probably be asparagus because I have some asparagus that I need to get rid of before I travel. And then, depending on how I'm feeling, I will also be having a little beverage. So I'll have like an Olipop, a Poppy, Culture Pop, like just something fun to sip on.
Yeah, fun drink.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
maybe a sweet treat if I'm feeling it and whatever I'm in the mood for. It's summer, so you could probably see me like walking to Jenny's to get a cup of ice cream or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You know what
Yeah.
my guilty pleasure sweet treat right now is, and it probably has been for the past year, is those like the true fruit, the
I knew you were
frozen
to say true
Yes.
fruit.
strawberries. They are so good. I could
Oh,
destroy like an
oh.
entire Costco bag of those.
Oh
My
God.
boyfriend and I are like so obsessed, and I just can't stop eating them.
They are
No,
so
those
good.
are
You got me
so
onto
good.
them in PT school, Alice. I knew you were going to
They're
say that too.
so
As
good.
soon as you said that.
No, those
Like
are
I crave that more than
absolutely
anything else.
for real. I could probably eat those like after
Yes.
or as every meal. I also really love Fruit Riot. Have you guys tried that?
No, what is that? Fruit
It's
riot?
like the
that?
sour fruit. It's like frozen grapes, but it's like a sour hard shell. They have
Oh.
mangoes. I don't know if they have any other fruit besides like grapes and mangoes, but it's so good. And they have like
interesting.
so many different flavors. Oh, they do have cherries. They did a collab with Olipop, and it's like a cherry cola. Those are really
Oh.
good.
And they're all
Interesting.
frozen?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I feel like that's right up my alley. I need to try
Yeah.
those.
Yes.
I did
Well-
notice you said collagen though. Do you take collagen every day?
No. I have some in my apartment, so I just like use it before it expires, but I don't. Most of the collagen that I get in my diet is like through the foods that are higher in collagen, like eggs or something like that.
Yeah.
But not necessarily something that like you need to supplement. Could be beneficial though, depending on the person and like especially like injured athletes. I know a lot of athletes like recovering from ACL ligament injuries. Collagen has been shown to be very beneficial.
And it makes sense because like the ligament is going through, I mean, the tendon that they grafted is like going through a whole process where it's like turning into a ligament. And it makes sense that they would need more collagen for that like process to happen and like the graft to be nice and strong. I probably have like 3 patients that are post-op ACL right now, so many like post-op like knee replacements. And I really think like it would be beneficial to those people that are like trying to heal to have at least like one like consultation with a dietitian because it's like so beneficial. And I feel like just talking to you, I've already learned like so much within this past hour. So thank you so much.
Of course.
To kind of wrap up this episode for today, we wanted to do like a quick rapid fire. So Kyra, are you ready to go?
I am.
Okay. So first one, what's your favorite guilty pleasure snack?
Definitely ice cream.
Same.
Some Jenny's.
Mm-hmm.
Protein bar or Greek yogurt?
Greek yogurt.
Yes, me too. Coffee before workouts, yes or no?
Yes, but give yourself enough time to go to the bathroom before you work out
Okay. Why is that?
because coffee's a diuretic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make you
Just
and
because it's
out.
diuretic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, literally yesterday when we were like gonna record, I had like a double shot and I was like, okay, I need to go to the bathroom like 3 times
You're like,
before this episode.
1 second, I'll be right back.
Yeah. What's one food trend that you would like to cancel forever?
The carnivore diet.
Yeah. Best high protein snack.
Oh, there's so many. I love chomps though. They have my heart.
Yeah.
They are good. I have a bunch in my drawer right now.
Love it.
The worst snack that's marketed as healthy.
Oh, this is also hard because I feel like there's so many. Maybe like the high protein candy bars, like the ultra processed food that are just like protein added. And it's like, okay, well, it's still not as like nutrient dense. Like, great,
Yeah,
you're
like
getting
the
it.
Yeah.
Or even probably, sorry, Courtney or Chloe, whichever one who created that popcorn,
the
probably
popcorn
that
and
too.
Chloe.
Yeah.
Probably that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, I feel
Quest has like the chips and the cookies that are like the
Oh my
protein
God.
cookies and protein chips.
Yeah.
Those actually, I changed my answer. It's Quest. Those are
Quest.
so disgusting.
I know.
Wait,
Yeah.
side note, okay, not to be bashing on these brands, but there's a brand that makes like a high protein Pop-Tart, and
Oh, really?
I had seen it all over. It was like in anywhere from like Walmart to like the really like bougie health stores. And so my brother bought them, and I was like, ooh, like I've been wanting to try these, but I didn't want to spend, like $7 on a Pop-Tart. And I tried it and I spit it back out immediately. I was like, oh no,
Disgusting.
disgusting. And even my brother, who
Yeah.
like eats everything and anything, he was like, yeah, no, I can't eat those.
Oh
They're
my gosh.
I'll find my
inedible.
protein somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
gladly.
not gonna lie. I don't remember the brand, but I wonder if it was the same brand. They make these like large cookies, make like snickerdoodle, like chocolate chip. And back in college, I tried it and they actually tasted pretty good, but like I was definitely caught, by like the I guess
Yes.
the marketing.
Yeah, the
Because
marketing
you see
behind it.
you see like in big letters, and that packaging is like a whole nother thing too. It's like, misleading packaging, and you'll see like 30 grams of protein and you're like, great, I can get 30 grams of protein from this cookie, but it's like, what else is in there? Like there's maybe a little bit
Yeah.
of like health benefit, but there's so many added sugars in this cookie.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to cancel out all the benefit.
Yeah.
So read the nutrition labels. The last one we had, what is your most underrated nutrition tip?
Oh, I would say make sure that you have a pre-workout carb 30 minutes before you work out. A simple carb that can be like anywhere from like 2 to 4 dates, a cup of juice, 6 to 8 pieces of dried mango, something like that. Make sure that you have a pre-workout carb. Not enough people are having their pre-workout carbs. And then they're really tired and fatigued, and they have so much brain fog during their workout because they don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know how people work out on an empty stomach because I get really bad
No, I
headaches if my
cannot.
sugar's low. And then you're working out, and it's gonna drop further. Like I need a little sweet treat before.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I feel like if I don't have one, I'm going to pass out in a class.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely seen like stuff too, especially for women, that it's like not great for us to work out like on empty stomachs, no food or anything because of our hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all right, Kyra, before we wrap up, is there any last minute things you want to say that we didn't really talk about or touch on?
No, I don't think so. But thank you both so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Yeah, thank you. I gained a lot from this, and I'm sure our listeners did as well. So we really appreciate your time. Thank you for bringing our lovely listeners the truth in a way that actually makes nutrition feel much less scary and intimidating and just more doable. If our listeners want to follow you and all your exciting projects on socials, where can they find you?
You can follow me at Dietitian Kyra on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube.
Yes. If you want to find some good pancake recipes, check it out. If you guys love this episode, make sure to rate us 5 stars and share with your girls who are trying to fuel up without all the fluff. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode, and we'll see you guys next time on the Physio Diaries. Bye.
Bye.